Hey guys, what's up? RossDunneIE. Um, Will Wheaton is increasingly the most intolerable motherfucker I've ever come across. I was a big Star Trek fan as a kid, as a lot of you guys probably were, and there was a point where Will Wheaton had come back to the internet, and people were like, "Man, Will Wheaton's back. That's interesting. He's kind of a nerd person, you know. He was like an icon." And for a brief moment, people were under the impression that Will Wheaton had come back, and it was like somebody we knew from Star Trek had come down onto our level and was talking to us and getting involved in sort of nerd culture, and that was actually pretty interesting. But as time went by, Will Wheaton began to move into places that were insane in terms of the ideological perspective of the people that he started hanging out with. He started hanging out with Felicia Day. And a subnote on Felicia Day is under the impression that she has been massively internet harassed throughout her career. The amount of love and adoration Felicia Day got for the Guild, from nerds and from gamers, etc., dramatically outweighs the minor footnotes of whatever shit she got for doing it on YouTube, in YouTube comments, possibly. I mean, if people just disagree with you on YouTube and start calling you shit, just fucking shrug it off. The same goes for Twitter. But that's a whole other fucking issue. Will Wheaton has attached himself to an absolutely cancerous bunch of people, and his whole shtick now is being this kind of Klingon male feminist. Klingon, Star Trek, Will Wheaton, huh? This Klingon male feminist who physically attaches himself to whatever. Felicia Day claimed she got harassed, and then I think, moving back to Felicia Day, she claimed she got harassed, and then I think she just sort of stopped rolling with it because it would be disingenuous for her to claim that she's some sort of massive victim of internet harassment. She wasn't. She never was. And I think she dropped that pretty quick. I just think she wanted to chime in last year. I think it was actually the year before, just to add to the whole thing. So then we have this video that Will has produced, addressing nobody. But let's get into it. Let's fucking watch it. This shit's transformative as well, by the way. Don't start whinging like a bitch. This is commentary. This is transformative. I'm gonna transform it from shit into more shit. But you know, we can do that. Let's check it out.
Hello, ladies. I'm Will Wheaton. I'm here to mansplain to you everything that is wrong with Star Wars Rogue One, starting with the female protagonist. Who am I supposed to identify with in this movie? It's bad enough that we had to wait however long it is we had to wait for Star Wars The Force Awakens to come out, but they told us that Luke Skywalker was going to be in it. He didn't even talk, spoiler alert, and then Han Solo was in it, but he dies, spoiler alert, and we have to spend the entire rest of the movie looking at a woman who's fully clothed. How am I supposed to care about anything that happens in that movie when there's nothing in it for me to jerk off to?
Nobody had that opinion. Nobody had that opinion. Not a single motherfucker on the planet has the opinion that Rogue One has a female protagonist and therefore it's going to be trash. It's probably going to be okay, in fairness. I'm not a big fan of these spin-offs from canon series. You know, like, shit, I don't know. A good example would be, you had Final Fantasy X, which was a component of the main series of the Final Fantasy games. Then you had Final Fantasy X too. Big fan of Final Fantasy X. Actually did like Final Fantasy X too, but it was a spin-off from the main series. The same goes for Final Fantasy Tactics and Final Fantasy Ogre. Now I understand that catches me as a piece of shit because obviously Final Fantasy Tactics is great. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. You know, I'm going on with this, but spin-offs from the main series of a franchise do not. I've never given much of a shit about them anyway. Didn't play Bloodborne, consider it a spin-off of the Soul series, etc. Nobody is complaining that the new Star Wars film, the spin-off, is going to be shit because it's got a woman in it. Nobody complained about Rey and her role as a female character. Again, he's addressing people that don't exist. They don't exist. These are men that do not exist, and if they do exist, at least on Twitter, they're troll accounts. They're egg accounts that are just dicking with you. So, I don't know.
Ghost of Star Wars, Princess Leia isn't even wearing a bra, which, last time I checked, was empowering feminists.
So on that, Carrie Fisher herself, I guess you're just going to shit on Carrie Fisher. I'm not saying that women wearing these kinds of clothing, etc., is necessarily empowering. I personally don't care. Wear whatever the fuck you want, not my problem. But Carrie Fisher herself was the one that snapped back at people complaining about the sort of dress code that she had during the Star Wars films, during the initial trilogy, because in her opinion, she now as an older person likes to be able to look back and look at herself in the fire of her youth. She was an extremely attractive woman then, and she recognized it, and people still celebrate her for her beauty during that time. The only thing that you could possibly shit on Carrie Fisher now, and not even shit on Carrie Fisher for, is that unfortunately, to the victory of feminism, in all honesty, we sort of see how in the new film, The Force Awakens, Princess Leia, or General Leia, is not an interesting character. She's actually not particularly fleshed out, and she's not well developed, and she doesn't have a lot of really complicated scripts. I guess if you're a massive Star Wars fan, you had emotional feelings about the fact that Leia was there, or what have you, and that's fine. But for the most part, if anything, the victory of feminism with regards to Star Wars in terms of a historical perspective is it just made me personally realize that Leia was a cardboard character and not particularly interesting and didn't particularly serve a role other than winnable meat. I agree with that. But in terms of this particular statement, Carrie Fisher herself was the one that came out in defense of who she was at that age and saying, look, I'm perfectly happy with that. I loved it. It reminds me of who I was then. So that's that.
Things are ruining my childhood. They're taking everything that mattered to me and they're fisting it. Oh, look, hey, look, here, there's more for you. There's that, Ghostbusters. But that's okay. Maybe Rogue One is going to change that, so I'm going to put it on.
I don't know if he addresses Ghostbusters later on, but Ghostbusters objectively looks terrible. Ghostbusters has had such a negative reaction, like globally, that there are scenes being reshot. Like there are parts of Ghostbusters that are being redone. The movie itself is being reskinned and repackaged because, and here's the thing, I'm gonna shit on it, but I kind of don't want to shit on it, but I kind of feel that I have to. We're recycling the American Pie genre of the American Pie type of comedy. That sort of wacky, gross, dipshit comedy that honestly wasn't funny then and isn't funny now. We're recycling it, but we're doing it really sneakily by doing it with women. If you've seen Pitch Perfect or Bridesmaids, etc., and then go and watch movies like American Pie and Scream and that sort of slapsticky comedy from just the turn of the century, late 90s, you suddenly realize that all of these movies are just basically being redone with women. It's fine. I'm not necessarily against the idea of women doing those kinds of movies. I don't give a shit. But the content itself is trash. And now what they've done is they've reimagined Ghostbusters from that 80s comedy that was pretty prevalent sort of when Ghostbusters came out, even though Ghostbusters came out, I think, in the 90s, I don't remember. And they're rehashing it with that American Pie-esque kind of comedy and that Bridesmaids Pitch Perfect-esque kind of comedy and just adding women. It's very little of the criticism of Ghostbusters, in my opinion, has to do with women. I don't think it does. I couldn't give a shit if there were women. I really couldn't. But it's too many stereotypes that have built up. You might as well have just put 4 Amy Schumers in there and had them talk about how they fuck and eat pie. Like, it's not good.
Oh, terrific! Another female protagonist. Maybe Star Wars just doesn't care about men. Is what I would say if I was a complete f***ing moron.
Yes. You absolutely would say that if you were a complete fucking moron. Because these people don't exist. You're strawmanning a group of people who don't have this opinion. Nobody has this opinion. By the way, you look weird. I mean, I'm not a Picasso, Will, but you're something about this lighting, and you're aging grey beard and the blue streak in your hair is throwing me off in a wacky, serious way. I'm not sure what it is. Anyway, nobody has this opinion. Nobody fucking has this opinion. I don't know who he thinks he's representing here, but it's nobody.
Here's the deal, boys. Star Wars The Force Awakens didn't ruin Star Wars. George Lucas ruined Star Wars with the Star Wars prequels, specifically a little movie called The Phantom Menace.
Given your history as a cast member in Star Trek, should you not be shitting on J.J. Abrams? Should you not be like a little more concerned about J.J.? Like, especially making this statement. I'm sure. All right, we can say you're a fan of Star Wars, but I would really like to see your opinion on what J.J. Abrams has done to Trek, because I doubt you're as brazen with it because you weren't in it.
Representation in film, television, media really matters. It is awesome that something as beloved as Star Wars has strong, positive, non-sexualized female leads that young girls can get excited about and emulate and grow up to be like.
Sure. No, I don't think anyone's going to realistically complain about that. I don't think anyone is going to say that's not true, or that's a bad thing, or that shouldn't happen.
White dudes, if you have a problem with that, you know where you can go? Literally anywhere in entertainment.
Why do only white people have a problem with this? Why do only white men apparently have a problem? Is it okay if a non-white person has a problem with this? What the fuck are you talking about? Like, this is the sort of great example of how Wil Wheaton is slowly either losing his mind or just losing his credibility, or he's just burning. He's just setting fire to whatever positive will people actually had of him, because he's just coming out with the wackiest shit now. I have no idea where he's going, what he's at with this, but
a video game, pick a movie, pick a television show, pick the news, or go to fucking Congress, because we run everything.
What a sick Congress burn, I guess.
If you don't like it in Star Wars, too f***ing bad. You'll get over it.
So ultimately, as I said, he's addressing an audience that doesn't exist. In all honesty, if you have these sorts of flippant fucking opinions that he's expressed here, all right, fuck you. But you don't exist. You're not a real person. There's nobody has this nuance, this lack of nuance in their opinions. Nobody. You're a lunatic, Wil Wheaton. You're a great big fat straw-manning lunatic, and your credibility is fucking gone. You're a nightmare. I can't even think of satisfactory shit to just fucking throw at this dip, because whatever. He's an idiot. This is an idiotic fucking video. I'm RossDunneIE. Peace the fuck out.